Hayes Furniture and Mattress makes it easy, and it's that time of year when Herb Hayes Furniture and Mattress goes under the big top. Great savings on living room, dining room, bedroom sets, and more, with all the styles, comfort, fabrics, finish, and quality you've been looking for. Don't miss out on the savings. Join them today for their Big Tent Sale. Herb Hayes Furniture and Mattress, where you always get the best selection, best furniture at the best price. 2519 Fort Campbell Boulevard, Hopkinsville.
Herb Hayes Furniture, always the best.
All right, we're back at 9:05, and it's a busy Thursday here at WPKY. It is our Sideline Report, brought to you by the Times leader, Todd Griffin, in studio. And how are you, my man?
Good morning, Ty. And first of all, another big week in sports. I think we say that every week when we come on, but you know, it's a factual statement. It's another really big week.
It's a huge week, and you know, we've got soccer districts, we've got volleyball winding down. They're going to be starting their postseason. And, you know, it's just a busy week. And, of course, Friday night, tomorrow night, it's our Hall of Fame game with our inductees out at Tiger Stadium. And Tigers, you know, had a big win last week at Trigg County. And now, you know, we've really got a place to, you know, win this one. Boy, we're solid now. But, I mean, it just kind of puts the exclamation point on the district.
Oh, yeah, the Tigers are definitely on a roll. And, you know, it was good to go ahead and get that district championship wrapped up last week so you can get a little of the pressure off. But still a lot going on this Friday at Tiger Stadium. You know, I'm a little partial to the Hall of Fame stuff this year.
You ought to be. Congratulations.
Thank
You're
you.
in.
But there's a lot of other reasons to show up for the football game Friday night. First of all, a win gives David Barnes his 100th victory at Caldwell County. I mean, that's pretty amazing, and he's actually closing in on the record. You know, Fred Clayton and Pat Gates both won 117 games as Tiger head coach, which is, you know, interesting that both of them have 117 wins. I guess that's
interesting. I didn't know that.
So with Coach Barnes, he might have to try to hang around just a few more years to get there, but it would be nice if you know, he could reach those levels too, because, you know, Fred Clayton was such a great coach, and of course everybody loves Pat Gates, and everybody loves Coach Barnes, and is pulling for him too. So we'd like to see him get that 100th win. And you know, the Hall of Fame stuff's going to go on at halftime. That's going to be a big deal with, you know, a lot of great former players in that class. There's a record watch going on this week. Hunter Van Hoosier is closing in on the career tackle mark. Needs 14 to break the record, 13 to tie it. So all those things are going on Friday night at Tiger Stadium, and it should be a really big night.
It should be a huge night, and we anticipate a huge crowd. We want everybody to come out, show your support for our Tigers, our Hall of Fame inductees, and the kids. You know, we're winding down the regular season. I mean, you know, the good thing is by that win last week at Trigg County, we're not going anywhere on the road until we go to Lexington possibly in the playoffs. So
yeah, the
semifinal, state semifinal.
Formerly known as Commonwealth Stadium.
The grocery bag, as you call it.
Yeah, the grocery bag, the big grocery bag in Lexington. That would be sweet to get there, and, of course, that would mean a whole lot more wins for the Tigers and Coach Barnes. The great thing is all those games are at home. There's no reason for Tiger fans to, you know, not show up for those games. Again, the Fort Campbell game this week is a big game for all the reasons we've mentioned. It should just be a fun night at Tiger Stadium. Get next week off, and then the big Mayfield game in 2 weeks, and that should just be an awesome game.
Should be.
One of the best teams we've seen all season coming to Tiger Stadium. And then, like you mentioned, with the win last week, Caldwell County could play potentially 4 home playoff games. I mean, pretty much as long as the Tigers keep winning, they're going to play at home all the way through the state semifinals, and that's a big advantage.
That is a huge advantage, and it was great that they went down to Katie's in a game that I don't know if I had seen a football game like that in a long time, but I love football, love watching it, but I have to admit, and I hate to say this on the air, but that was one of those games I was just like, when's it going to get over with? I mean, you know, well, just because it was painful.
It got a little chippy.
Yeah.
And the thing that struck me when we went over there is there was a really big crowd, you know, for both sides. Caldwell always travels well, especially over to Trigg County. But the place was just a little flat for what should be a Caldwell-Trigg game. It should have been electric, and I don't know if Caldwell kind of one-siding the rivalry for the last few years has taken a little sting out of it or what, but on the field it got a little chippy. You know, there was some definite talking and an extra shot or two going on, so it kind of developed into an interesting game, but yeah, there were a lot of flags, and that kind of took some of the momentum and some of the flow out of the game. One of the guys on the sideline on the chain gang got tossed.
I don't know if I've seen somebody get tossed. I don't know if I've ever seen a chain gang guy, but the way he went out in style, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, he saluted everybody on the way out and everything. So it was really a fun time at the old ball game. But I think that's at least the third time I've seen a member of the chain gang thrown out of a football game. The other two were both at Webster County in different seasons, but sometimes those guys are put in a tough situation though, because they always put the chains on the side of the field opposite the press box so that everybody can see it. Well, most of the time, the side opposite the press box is the visitor sideline.
Correct.
Well, the guys keeping the chains are usually boosters of the home team. It's the same thing here.
Yes.
You know, those are all big Tiger boosters over there, big Tiger fans.
You got to kind of block things out, don't you?
You can't sit there and listen to what everybody on the sideline is saying because you cannot respond back. You know, as soon as a member of the chain gang speaks to anybody on that sideline, the coach is within his rights to stop the game and have the referees remove that person.
Right.
Well, that's kind of what happened Friday night.
Yeah, we knew, from up at the box, we were on the opposite side and could tell there was some sort of commotion over there. And then we saw the person kind of exit out through the end zone fence that way. And figured, but yeah, in this day of social media, I think there was probably a lot of talking back and forth potentially before the game during the week. And then I think it just sort of comes to a head out on the field.
I think a lot of that happens, a lot of weeks. We don't always hear about it. I know in the past there's been some great Twitter wars when Caldwell County would play Ballard Memorial in football. For some reason, that always escalated into the big deal on social media. I'm not sure where that rivalry came from, but you can definitely say a few things, and sometimes it can get carried maybe a little too far, and then things kind of escalate when you get on the football field. But I think one of the things that Caldwell needs to look at this week and moving forward is I thought the Tigers let Trigg County get in their heads a little bit last week, and that's something that you just can't happen. Emotions can run wild sometimes in sports, especially on the football field, but you can't get so caught up that you're out there looking to hit somebody or hit somebody late as opposed to being out there trying to implement your game plan.
I think you're probably right about that. I have a senior on the team, and and I think tried to get a little bit of idea of what was going on out there, and I think there was a lot of jawing back and forth, and my response was just keep it on the field, show them what you got on the field. There's no sense in doing the mouth and stuff. Just let them know what you have in your play. And sometimes 16, 17-year-old kids, it just doesn't always work that way.
Right, and it's not just Trigg County. A lot of people say, well, Trigg was talking, and yeah, they were, but Caldwell County has some kids that like to talk right there with you. And I think every team out there has a couple of kids on it that, just likes to try to get in the other team's head, and they'll do a little chirping. Look
at the examples they see on the collegiate and the national scale as well. I mean, what that's our society these days. I mean, they see it at the upper level. So, unfortunately, there's no example for them to follow. Now, I will say that I think our coaching staff does a pretty good job prepping them and try to keep them that way. Now, when the kid's out on the field, and the coaches is things are going to happen, of course. But I think kudos to our coaching staff. But I think they pretty much tell them, before and preach it in practice that just get it done on the field and keep your mouth shut.
Well, and the main thing is you don't want to take it to the point that you maybe get kicked out of a game and then have to miss another game down the road. And that's something that with the playoffs coming up, you don't want to have to miss a playoff game or something, because that not only hurts you, it's like the coaches say, it's a selfish thing because it hurts your teammates. If you're a good player, your team needs you on the field, not on the sideline because you couldn't keep your mouth shut.
No doubt about it. And hopefully we got that one behind us this past week.
But that game always ends up that way. We talk about the Caldwell-Trigg rivalry, and it's just a big one, and the communities are close. It's kind of like the Crittenden County game. I think a lot of the kids know each other, and it just kind of develops.
The fans in the box were just as I'm telling you, they were smacking the counter and everything else when things weren't going their way. I mean, they want to win against us. They want that 139 bowl trophy back, and it's been a while. And there were some glory days at Trigg County.
Oh yeah,
and hasn't been quite where Caldwell has been the past couple of years, and I'm sure that's frustrating for them.
Well, and we've been on the other side of that fence.
We have.
to Trigg County, to Mayfield. Crittenden County had a good run against Caldwell County.
Yes.
It gets frustrating when you drop 3 or 4 to a team that you would like to think is a rival and you're kind of equal with. So now that it's gone the other way, now Trigg County's trying to get back to even on that playing field.
And you know, we'll just have to kind of see. But right now, you know, it's Caldwell dominance, and it has been the past several years. And we'll just have to see where it goes as our phones start blowing up here. But tell us a little bit more about. I was looking at the guys. Fort Campbell coming in here for the Hall of Fame game, and let's talk about these fine gentlemen that are going to be inducted. Of course, you're one of the fine gentlemen.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's really nice.
And a great class, I think, that's coming in.
Oh, I think it's a super class, and it's been 7 years since the Caldwell County Football Hall of Fame inducted somebody. You know, just there were so many people put in, and I think they needed to just take a little break there, so they got that in. And now that you look, you know, there's a strong class this year, and I could probably name at least 7 or 8 real quick that, you know, probably should be on the list as well. So I think next year you're going to see another really strong class, and there's probably some more after that. But, yeah, these guys, and like I said in the newspaper, I think it's just a lot of class individuals, not just this year's class, but, you know, the entire Hall of Fame. There's so many former Tigers, and, you know, you look up to all those people, and a lot of them I watched playing growing up, and then, of course, I covered a lot of these guys too.
Yeah.
So it's just a big deal, and I'm tickled to be part of that group.
Well, a big kudos to them. And I know Brian Jaggers wanted me to mention that they will have a tent set up on the field house side. They'll have some fellowship and some refreshment for the inductees. The tent will be set up about 6 o'clock over by the field house for those guys. So sure you probably know that, but go over and enjoy some refreshments and say hello to those guys and congratulate them. You know, they're going to be over there before the field house, before the halftime ceremony for the induction ceremony.
But I was a big proponent of these guys actually getting into the Hall of Fame. You look at Ken Barrett, the guy's a legendary high school coach. He was a really good player at Princeton Butler High School, and I think sometimes we forget those guys, but when you track the lineage back, it goes straight from the Caldwell County Tigers to the Princeton Butler Tigers and the Princeton High School Tigers behind that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we can honor those guys. And then Mark Barnes, Stan Hudson, Ken Argo, Andy Davis, Bradley Stallings, Kelly Tinsley. I mean, those guys. Tell you what, for a lineman, nobody could take over a game the way Kelly Tinsley could when he wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, you see a quarterback sometimes kind of take it on his shoulders, or a running back or whatever, but Kelly Tinsley was that rare big kid who was also a great athlete, and when he wanted to, he could just dictate the pace of play.
Just there you go, yeah. And silent, you know, he's very, very soft-spoken. He was in here, you know, but boy, you could tell that I think with the game on the line, you'd want that guy, you know, taking over a game, and he could do it.
Well, and Gator and DT have done a great job of getting all those guys in and talking to them, and, you know, I'm so thankful to those guys as well, because when I started, you know, attempting to cover the football team, Gates was the coach and DT was there, and, you know, I hate to start throwing out names, but I remember these guys. Richie Hughes was instrumental, Larry Curling, Carol Boyd, Will Brown, Neil Cummins, all those guys were so great, so easy to work with, and I was always kind of made to feel like I was part of the family. I wasn't just, you know, the guy from the radio station or the guy from the newspaper. I was part of the team, and you know, I've always felt that way, and I'm really thankful for that. And
well, it's well deserved. I mean, you've been you know, covered all these games, faithful. You know, and that was back in our area. You know, you and I went to high school together, and you know, you did a fantastic job on the radio and covering all this. The book you put together on Tiger football is just a fantastic resource. I mean, I look at it. My son and I get it out and look at it all the time. He'll say, "Do you remember this person, Dad?" And I'll say, "Well, yeah, I kind of do." And well, what did he do? Well, get the book, you know.
Oh yeah, my only complaint about the book is that I didn't have more pages to work with. You know, they kind of limited. I think it was 225 pages, and I'm like,
really?
Well, how am I going to get this in 225 pages? So. You know, I could almost do a book 2 with everything I had
left. You almost could, yeah.
And besides that, and the other thing that always gets me about the book, you know, made sure one of the things I wanted to get in there was all those records in the back.
Right.
And the book came out in 2010. Well, very shortly after that, Caldwell County blew up all those records. So the record book now doesn't look anything like the record book that's actually in the back of the book.
Right. So yeah, so there might be time to do some sort of addendum to it or whatever. But we do have a great Hall of Fame class. I think Gator and DT. I think Mark's going to be on tomorrow. I think Mark's going to be. I don't know if I guess he's going to be in studio. I think he's going to be in studio, or it could be by phone. But I know he's going to be on tomorrow, and I think that's the last one. They've had everybody, and I don't know about Kenny. So
Barrett.
Yes,
So,
yeah. So it's going to be a great show tomorrow, and we want everybody, Tiger Stadium, to be full Friday night as we honor these guys, and of course just a big district game.
Well, and talking about Ken Barrett, the guy's in the Kentucky High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy's a legendary coach. He's won 3 state championships at Russellville. He coached at Marshall County and Trigg County. Again, those are the guys that need to be in the Hall of Fame, and I would like to see us go back about every year and get somebody like that, a Princeton Butler standout, or even a Princeton High School standout.
Yeah.
The 1915 team was undefeated. Of course, I know there's not anybody still around from the 1915 team, but to me, those we need to remember the history and honor those people who kind of paved the way for what we have today.
It's a fantastic legacy. I mean, it's a tremendous line there of football greats, really.
But if you look at it, and a lot of smaller communities now struggle to have high school football. It's an expensive sport. Some communities don't. Livingston Central, I think, at one time was the biggest school in the state not to have football, and I think it's tough to start it now. They've looked at it a couple of times, but it's just so expensive, and you need the facilities. And I think at Caldwell County, if these guys hadn't started football back in the 19-teens and built it up through the years, would we have a football program now? Would it be as strong as it is now? Probably not.
Very good point. And you look at that facility that we have out there. I mean, it's as good as any around. And it's a great place to play. It's a great place to watch a football game. We've got a field house now. Is second to none. When we were in high school, we had that little trailer.
Oh, yeah, the little trailer over by where the tennis courts are now.
Yeah. And that was our field house.
Yeah.
But it's just been. Yeah, I think you're exactly on track there with these guys that laid the foundation of football here in Caldwell County, and it's great to be able to honor them at these Hall of Fame events.
So let's remember those guys, and like I said, each year when this comes up, I'm going to try to float a different name or two from Princeton, Butler, and the old teams, and try to make sure that those guys get included too, because like I said, it says Caldwell County Football Hall of Fame, but I think if you were a Tiger, that you should take pride in that and feel like you were a part of it.
No doubt about it. Fantastic. I tell you, what's the outlook look like for Fort Campbell? What do we know about them? It looks like everybody, all your guys picked them in the paper this week, and that's probably, if you can kind of go back and look and compare to who they've played, who we've played, you kind of like our on paper anyway, like our chances.
Oh yeah, Fort Campbell played Union County really tough last week.
Yeah.
Union County got out into a lead in that game, and then I think just kind of plateaued a little bit, and Fort Campbell was able to come back and actually take the lead late. Union County had to score a late touchdown to win that game 25-21. So Fort Campbell is actually getting better.
Right.
They were right there with Trigg County. I think turned the ball over 6 or 7 times and then gave up a punt return for a touchdown with about a minute to go or less than a minute to go, and lost that game 14-7. So Fort Campbell has shown they can be competitive. It looks like they have some really young kids, though. They have 3 or 4 athletes who are as good as we've seen this year.
Right.
And they have some speed that maybe we haven't seen this year. They don't look as strong up front as some of the teams we faced this year, but we always talk about the system offense that Caldwell runs. One of the things that gives that trouble is a quick defense, and Fort Campbell kind of has that.
Yeah.
I think they're inexperienced in some spots, but they can put some speed out there, and sometimes that can cause problems for the Tiger offense.
Right. It ought to be interesting. Of course, my assessment of the district this year has been that it's overall it's been a little bit improved.
Yes.
And I think you could probably say that about Fort Campbell this year.
Yeah, they're definitely headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
They've got some, like I said, some good-looking young kids, and kind of like Trigg County last week, I think some of their better kids were in their sophomore class. So if those teams keep building, they're just going to get better and better. And Fort Campbell is a team that if Caldwell County comes to play Friday night and takes care of business, they should win the game.
Yeah.
But if you overlook them, take them lightly, look ahead to some other things. That Mayfield game coming up, Fort Campbell is good enough to score a couple of times and sneak up on you and make it a whole lot more difficult than maybe it should be.
Yeah, and I think just reading your article in the paper, Coach Barnes was pretty much just emphasizing, we need to maintain what we've been doing, keep that intensity, and know that we want to win each and every game, and just keep the kids focused. Of course, this is fall break, and I don't know. I know they've practiced this week, and it's been a fairly normal routine. I'm sure some have been gone, and we've got a few little people that are, we've got a few folks that are banged up.
Yeah,
they're, Dylan Cavanaugh, I think, and then Will Bashir is, those are two pretty key players that we're not going to have on the field, Friday night.
Well, one thing the Tigers don't have a lot of is depth. Now, they do have a couple of kids that can run out there. Right. But, once you have to bring those kids into play, there's not a whole lot behind them.
That's right.
So when you miss 2 or 3 kids, now there's no safety net behind anybody else. So hopefully the Tigers can have an injury-free week this week, then get the extra week to get healthy.
Yeah.
Go into that Mayfield game. And, again, when we've played Mayfield up here, those games have been some battles. I mean, remember just, 4 years ago, it was 48-41, and
yes.
maybe one of the best games I've ever seen at Tiger Stadium.
The stadium was packed.
Yeah,
the
biggest crowd.
It was unbelievable.
The game was on TV.
Yeah, I think this one is too.
Yes, it is. The Mayfield game this year's on TV.
Yeah.
So that'll be a big night at Tiger Stadium going into the playoffs.
It will be, and honestly, you say it doesn't mean anything as far as that is concerned, but it does mean a whole lot. It's Mayfield, and that's just one of those games. And I remember last year, we went down there, man. That first half, we jumped on them, and we were there. But I don't know what they said the second half. It just totally turned. But that's what happens when you play down there.
Yeah, we were up 2 touchdowns late in the second quarter. They score right before halftime, get the momentum, and then it was lights out in the second half.
Yeah.
And that's something that happens at Mayfield for some reason.
Yep.
But when we play them at Tiger Stadium, it's a little different.
It is a little different.
I mean, sure, they win sometimes, but the last time they came here, it was the late field goal game that a lot of us are still howling about.
Well, how did they get? Yeah,
they called a pass interference behind the line of scrimmage, which there is no such thing.
That's right.
A lot of us think that maybe they gave them too much time at the end to get another playoff, and we can all debate that. And nobody's going to be right or wrong either way. I guess it's just that's what the officials did, and that's what happened. And you can make all that moot by going back and saying, well, the Tigers had a chance to make a play or two on defense and did not, and that would have won the game. So all those things come into play. And, again, to me, when all those things happen, that's a rivalry.
No doubt.
And we go back, and for years, when we were in school, we would say the big game is Mayfield. It's the big rivalry. Well, it was for us, but it wasn't much of a rivalry for Mayfield because they just won the game every year. Well, I think we've changed that, I think if you go back and if you could flip-flop that late field goal game that Mayfield won here, it would be pretty even over the last 6, 7, 8 years.
Yes.
So that is a rivalry, and that's the way we'd like to keep it.
And no doubt. And there's nothing like being down there in their stadium and having them on their heels and their fans.
Oh, yeah.
They tailgate down there. There's people parked around. I mean, it's almost like a college atmosphere down there. And you got them worried in their house, and they're starting to kind of go, oh my goodness, I love that feeling.
Well, and they expect to be good.
Sure.
And that's a sentiment that I almost wish Caldwell County fans could take on, because sometimes, and we've talked about this before, I think Tiger fans get this, well, we're playing a really good team this week. And I'm like, well, that's fine. We're pretty good.
Yeah, we're good too.
We might not win, but I don't think you can look at the schedule and go, well, that team's really good and this team's really good, so we don't have a chance. We talked early in the year about the Christian County game being a tough game to get. It was really tough. We thought the Hopkinsville game would be a tough game to get, but, we won that game. The Mayfield game, it's going to be a tough game to get, and Caldwell County will have to play well, but that's what we should expect to do. We shouldn't expect Mayfield to come up here and roll over us. We should expect it to be a really competitive game, and if you make a couple of plays late, you can win those.
No doubt.
We should expect I think when Caldwell won at Union County, a lot of people at Union County were surprised at the outcome, especially the margin. But, even later you hear from some Union County fans and people up that way that, Caldwell County is a legitimate top 5 or top 6 team in Class 3A. It's not like
they're there for a reason.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
No disrespect to Reedland and those teams, but this isn't Reedland. You know, Caldwell County's pretty good. We
Yeah.
need to expect that when we go into games.
No doubt. And it'll be a great night out there this Friday night. So, folks, head on out, support your Tigers, see these great Hall of Fame inductees. At halftime, they're going to have the ceremony, and get out there and support the Tigers. It's going to be a fun night. The weather's going to be beautiful Friday night.
It should be great.
It's going to be great football weather. And, it's still, in my mind, a little warm for this time of year. You know, I kind of was hoping I could break out the old sweatshirt. I know next week there's some colder air coming in.
Well, and the great thing about Friday night with the advent of DVR, you can record Big Blue Madness.
That's right.
Show up to the game and then go home and watch Big Blue Madness later because it's just a practice. I love Kentucky Wildcat basketball as much as the next guy, but if my choices are go see a real live football game at Tiger Stadium or watch Big Blue Madness on TV, I'm going to the real live football game first. And hopefully a lot of people will do that and get, you get both fixes that way.
No doubt about it. And, boy, it's hard to believe that's here. And I'm sure we'll talk about that.
It's basketball season.
Yeah, it's basketball season. And, our teams will be starting up here next month or late this month, I guess, or early this next month.
Actually, right now is baseball and football and soccer and volleyball and basketball season and golf season.
Yeah.
It's everything.
It is. I mean, anymore, if you're going to play it, you play it all year round.
Oh, yeah,
just
everything's pretty much year-round anymore.
Yeah, and, boy, tonight we've got a big night over in Hopkins County.
Well, if you're wanting to see a soccer game, this would be a good time to do it because both Caldwell County teams are playing. The girls play at 5:30. The boys play at 7:30. Both teams are playing Madisonville. The only difference is in the girls' game, Caldwell County is the number 1 seed. The Lady Tigers are 11-9-1, and they beat Madisonville 1-0 in a very competitive game back on September 5th at Butler Stadium. In the boys' game, Madisonville is the number 1 seed and the favorite. The Tigers, though, are 9-8-1 and have played well lately and, squeezed out a 4-3 win in the last seconds against Hopkins County Central on Monday night in the fog over at Hopkins Central.
That's a PK, wasn't it?
It was a PK with about 40 seconds to go in the game.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I thought that game was headed to overtime, and that was really going to be tough to, you get into overtime and go to penalty kicks. Well,
yeah, you never know anything can happen. Yeah.
So it was good to see the Tigers get that late goal and pull that out. The Tigers lost at Madisonville 4-1 on September 21, so Madisonville is the number 1 seed. It would be an upset for the Tigers to beat Madisonville, but, hey, you never know. Come out and get an early goal or two, get the momentum, see what you can do.
They're playing great soccer right now.
And both teams are going to be in the regional tournament next week, win or lose tonight.
Yeah.
So there's not that pressure of, that season-ending loss, which can always be devastating. Both teams know they're playing again, so they can just relax tonight.
Go out and play loose and
try to get that
see what happens.
championship.
Yeah, go get that district. Why not? Go get that championship. And, of course, we'll be over there. We're going to be on the air shortly before 5:30 for the girls. We're going to, barring any technical difficulties with service, we're going to try to stream it as well. So we encourage you to make the trip.
I did have a problem getting a tweet or two out the other night, but other than that, I think everything should be good. And be interesting to see if the fog rolls back in again.
Be interesting. It's going to be an old cloudy day, and hopefully our boys and girls come away with those district championships tonight. We will have them for you here on the air and online. Technology cooperating here on WPKY.
Again, those are at Hopkins County Central.
Central, yep.
A 35 or 40-minute drive over. That's easy. Both teams are playing. Should be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I'd love to see a big crowd over there tonight to cheer our Tigers on, and best of luck to them as well.
Should be some good soccer tonight. That girls' game here, 1-0, and it was down to the wire. And maybe the guys have a little something special planned for that Madisonville game tonight too. So it would really be fun to come back with both of those.
It sure would, and wish them luck.
All right, we mentioned that it's pretty much every sports season. Well, let's move to golf.
Okay.
And talk about
Boy,
Emma Talley.
What a week.
Wow. I mean, I always say don't bet against Emma.
I saw that. Yeah.
When it's when the pressure is on, that's when she plays the best. I mean, an NCAA championship, a U.S. Women's Amateur Championship, and she finished second in the big Symetra Tour Championship, and a 3-putt bogey on 17, maybe kept her out of a playoff from maybe winning that thing. But the most important thing there is she finished in the top 10, number 9 in the money standings, and that gives her her LPGA Tour card for 2018, and that's just outstanding. I mean, to be pro for just a little over a year now, and know you've got the big show coming up next season, that you just can't say enough good things about Emma Talley.
No, you can't. And this is we've watched her from when she was real young. All the hours and time she spent on a golf course, honing the craft. Her dad by her side. People from here cheering her on, and to reach the pinnacle.
Well, and you watch her on TV or you watch online or whatever, and you see how well she plays, and sometimes you don't think about all the hours she spent out. I've watched her putt for 2 hours straight on the practice green.
Yeah.
I mean, just stand there and putt and putt and putt, and that's not something I could do.
No.
To me, putting is like 5 minutes and let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
But, I mean, she would literally stand there and work on it and work on it and work on it, and, there's no telling how many golf balls she's hit.
No.
Just to prepare for these things. And then once you get out there, sometimes it's difficult to take what you do on the practice range to the golf course, but she finds a way to get that done. And, again, it's hard to explain how good everybody is on the Symetra Tour and how good everybody's going to be on the LPGA Tour. But, Emma Talley's right there.
She's
she
up
has
there.
the game, and
well,
if
you
she
look at her
makes some
collegiate
putts,
career and
yes,
her
I mean,
amateur career. I mean, you can just see that it's there. She's got championships. She's got 3 state golf championships. Really 4 in a way.
Really 4, yeah.
Yeah, but she's just she knows how to win.
It's just a shame that the LPGA Tour has such a horrible destination to start off the 2018
Yeah, it's
season.
shameful, isn't it?
I mean, having to go to the Bahamas
Yeah.
and play golf. I
Yeah.
mean, who wants to do that
Nah.
in January?
I know. That's horrible.
Maybe the Times leader and WPKY could get together and make a little media trip
That'd be fun.
to cover that.
I'm all for that. If anybody's listening, But yeah, what a fantastic week she had, and and she went through a little lull there. I think she kind of had a period of time she was struggling a little bit, and I think she stepped back, took a deep breath, and whatever she did seemed to get her over that hump.
But that's just golf. I mean,
that's right.
Every golfer, I think, goes through that. That's why the same person doesn't win on the PGA Tour every week or any tour. It's always somebody different, and there is such a fine line between playing well and not playing well in golf, and it's just really tough to be difficult. I mean, you see Tiger Woods did it for a little while and some of those other guys, but it's tough to stay on top
To be
of that
totally
game.
consistent, yeah, it is. But, boy, didn't she put together a great couple. Of course, this last event down here was delayed, suspended due to weather. The course was soaking wet, but to put together the type of rounds and play the type of golf she did here.
Yeah, to put together 3 rounds.
When she needed to.
Yeah, when she had to.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And another great thing is with Emma being on the LPGA Tour, we don't have to scour the internet anymore to try to find a feed of the tournament.
No. There she is on
Most of
NBC
those-
here.
Yeah, most of those are on the Golf Channel.
On the Golf Channel, too, yeah.
And the purse, the payout for this, the Pure Silk Bahamas LPGA Classic, the first event, is $1.4 million. So
there you go.
So those things look good too. So
No, right.
it's just a big deal, and we're just happy for Emma because, like you say, you can't say enough good things about Emma Talley.
No, you can't. And she's not only a great golfer, she's a great person. She's a tremendous person.
Just a super representative for Caldwell County.
No doubt about it.
Again, it gives me a big thrill. I hope it gives everybody else a big thrill when they turn on the TV and it says Emma Talley from Princeton, Kentucky. Elijah Sindelar from Princeton, Kentucky. I mean, to me, that's still a big deal. I think back to my first experience with Greg Smith.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people remember his outstanding basketball player from Caldwell County, and before that at Princeton-Dotson. I remember being a youngster and getting a pack of Topps basketball NBA cards and opening it up and just, I was such a geek that I would read the back of baseball and basketball cards.
Say it ain't so, Todd.
I mean, I took all that stuff in. I'd look at stats, and I remember turning a card over one time and it said Greg Smith. I was like, oh, well, who's this guy? From Princeton, Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of my introduction into the whole Smith family basketball thing.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and to see our hometown folks, especially at those levels, at the upper echelons of sports. It's just a great thing.
Jake Lewis in motorcycle
There you
racing.
go.
I mean, when you think about how Princeton is not really the biggest community, Caldwell County is not the biggest county, and you start looking around, and we have all these people that are making news in the sports world. When you look at coaches around the state
that have ties here or have been here,
there's a really long list.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that that's happened, but we're glad that those people have been able to go on and represent Caldwell County the best. Get Princeton out there for everybody.
No doubt about it, and everybody likes to be a part of it, to touch that person.
Yeah.
Well, I babysat her back, but why not?
Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story, and they're proud, and as they should be. So
I remember playing golf with Emma Talley out here a time or two, and her dad. I kind of quit wanting to do that though when she started hitting the ball farther than I did. And I think she was 12, so that I was done.
Yeah, I just throw that club back in the bag. I'll ride this hole.
and not from the red tee. She was playing the white tees with us, and the ball was going farther. And I'm like, out of my league on this one.
Yeah, and it just is a pleasure, to, like I said, I remember countless, every time I was out there, you'd see them just practicing. She would be hitting balls over on the range or on the putting green or riding around. It's just awesome to see.
Yeah, and it's her swing is just almost flawless.
Byron Byron.
It's the same swing. I mean, when I play golf, I think I use a different swing on every swing. So, but she's got it honed down, and again, those people are all so good that it just comes down to who's making a putt this week. And
PRO. That's simple.
Yeah.
Pro.
They are that good. I mean, it just there's a completely different level. I mean. You see people who are good high school athletes, and that's fantastic. There's a lot of high school legends that couldn't go on and duplicate that on the college level for whatever reason. You see people who are great college players, can't do it on the pro level. Sometimes it doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
But and then sometimes you see the one person that was an average college player who's a great pro. I mean, you just never know. But
no, you don't.
You go back and look at all the people that have come from around here and just all the time and effort they put into it. And again, that's Emma. She just works at it so hard, and not everybody sees all the practice time. And the same thing for football or basketball, soccer, volleyball. Those kids spend so much time in the gym or on the field, and nobody sees that. They just see what happens on game night.
On game night, that's right. Let's take a short break. We'll come back. We've got lots more to talk about. Can you believe we almost burnt the hour here? But it's a great. We started a little bit late, so we'll give ourselves maybe a little late, a couple minutes late. But we'll come back. We'll take a break here on the Sideline Report at 9:43. Still lots to get to. It's brought to you by the Times leader. Todd Griffin is here, and we'll be back in just a moment on WPKY.
Mobile Deposit is here. This is Mona Van Hooser with First Southern National Bank, and our new mobile app is loaded with extra features, including mobile deposit. Now you can use your smartphone's camera to deposit checks on the go. Just endorse, point, click, and send. Download our new mobile app and try it today. First Southern National Bank. Member FDIC.
Hey, honey, you know what would make me so happy right now?
A movie night?
Well, that and...
A candlelit dinner?
Actually, I was thinking we could...
Go for a walk in...
McDonald's! Babe, listen. I want McDonald's. And some fries.
You're the perfect human.
Get more of what matters at McDonald's. Try your favorites on the everyday value menu, like the McDouble Burger for $1.39 or the McChicken Sandwich for $1.19. A la carte only at participating restaurants. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
And at 9:44, we're back on the Sideline Report. And interesting news coming out of high school hoops here recently, the day before yesterday, I guess, about Bowling Green High School.
Yeah, the two major newspapers in the state reporting that Bowling Green is under, a little scrutiny for the basketball program, which won the state championship last year, and looking into some recruiting allegations.
KHSAA.
Right,
yep.
Right now, just those are just allegations, so it's hard to speak on, who knows what and who said what and what is actually factual. But, a couple of local ties to the Bowling Green program. D.G. Sherrill was the head coach, and
Right.
D.G. is a 1987 graduate of Colorado
Graduated with you.
just like me. And
Yeah.
I remember some great battles against D.G. on the middle school basketball team, and we used to do those blockout drills, for rebounds, and somehow I always got paired up with D.G. And
Did you win any of them, Todd?
I could hold my own a little bit
All
on,
right,
on the
good.
rebounding drills. Some of the other things, I just wasn't athletic enough to hang on with some of those guys because, man, what a great team
Yeah, that
we had
87
in middle school.
Mike Gray and all those
well,
guys.
Mike was a year behind us,
That's
but
right.
we had David Gray and Dan Harris and
Harris.
Ronnie Sims. Wes Oden was on that team.
Yeah.
DG. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, and I hate that. But
That's
I
a
mean,
pretty good run of guys, though.
just a really good not because I had anything to do with it. I would sit on the bench and go, all right. Usually if I went into the game, we were either up by a whole lot or coach was mad at somebody.
I'd be that
So-
guy like on Hoosiers had to go in and shoot the free throw, and I'd be doing it granny style.
Oh, yeah.
That would be me. I never was a hoops person.
To me, the middle school basketball experience was me, Kevin Tays, and Lance Sledge sitting at the end of the bench,
Hanging out on the bench.
talking about how the game was going. So how we doing now? Looks pretty good. Hey, we're doing really well. I tell you, we're playing well tonight.
It's
so.
fun, though. You're on the team,
But
right?
we got to go out there and go through warm-ups and wear the uniform, wear the blue and gold. So we had a good time, and if we got in the game, sometimes it was good and sometimes it was an absolute disaster, especially for me. But I remember going to Christian County one time and getting in the ball game over there, and they were one of the few teams that beat us, and I mean they were tough.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was mad at whom, but somebody had to come out of the game for a
This middle
second.
school?
Middle school
Okay.
basketball.
Okay.
And Coach Roy Jean Rogers says, Griffin, get in there for, I can't remember who now. So I thought, here's my chance to show what I can do. So the guy was guarding, pops out to the top of the key, takes the pass. I mean, I'm like right in his shorts. I'm just going to show everybody how great a defender I am.
There
I'm
you
going to
go,
be all
man.
over this guy. I'm going to take the ball. The guy put down a dribble or two, drove by me. I'm still standing above the free throw line. I turn around, and as I see the guy going in for a layup, I'm thinking, he's going to throw that down. And this is in middle school. Well, he just laid it in, but I looked over to the scores table, and somebody was, coming up there to come in for me.
There you
And
go, buddy.
That was my 5 seconds of glory at Christian County in middle
At least
school
he didn't
basketball.
slam it on you.
No, he did not
No,
slam
no,
it.
No.
But
His finger
I'm
maybe
not-
hit the rim as he laid it in.
You ever think something's a really good idea, and then when you look back later, you're like, what was I possibly thinking? But it was fun. I mean, we had a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember DG's elbow in my back on those drills, just the blockout drills that seemed to go on and on and on forever. And you couldn't go get the ball.
Right.
They'd take a shot, and it wasn't about getting the ball. It was about blocking
out, yeah.
So you just had to block out and block
Block
out
out.
and block out. And like I said, somehow I always got paired up against DG and just had to block him out. Then he had to block me out, and it was just a battle in practice.
No, I'm probably no doubt about it. But be interesting to see where this all goes. I think the article I read said there was maybe a disgruntled ladies coach that might have brought these potential allegations. So
Well, she was dismissed, and
Yeah.
then I think spoke to the Kentucky High School Athletic Association about some things. So it'll be interesting to see
where it goes.
where that goes, and not to veer off the subject too much, but this is one of those deals where if Bowling Green were a private school, they would be A-OK.
Right.
And that kind of brings up one of the issues that I have with high school sports, and that's classification. It seems to be an unfair playing field. We do have classes in football and a few other sports, track
Right.
and whatnot, but when you look at all the sports and you wonder, why aren't these classified? I mean, there are 50 states, and 48 of them classify high school sports. The other one that doesn't is Delaware, and Delaware has about a third as many high schools as Kentucky does.
yeah.
So it seems ridiculous that Kentucky can't figure out a way to classify some of these sports. And
Right.
I mean, the reason they don't is because they don't want to mess with basketball. The basketball boys Sweet 16 brings in a ton of money.
It's a
And
huge
yes, we
revenue.
all know it takes money to run things, and the KHSAA uses the money made from the Sweet 16, to to organize and
do other things.
To do things, make sure all the sports, they govern all the sports, and that does take money, and we understand that. But it seems like something could be done to find a fair way to get everything, on a more level playing field for everybody. And again, if it was a bad idea, 48 other states would not be doing it. And the private schools, it's nothing against them. It's just an unfair advantage when you can legally recruit and a public school cannot legally recruit. And, when you get into the whole recruiting things, private schools basically recruit every student there, whether it's for athletics or academics or whatever. That's how they stay in business. So it's just not a fair playing field, and to suggest otherwise just isn't being realistic to me.
Right. Well, let's just hope there's a good outcome there. Don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure there's be a thorough and full investigation, so we'll just have to kind of hang on and see.
Well, I remember when Lewis Stout was the commissioner years ago, he came to Princeton, and I remember him speaking and saying that, half of the KHSAA's resources are spent on the whole recruiting thing
aspect,
and kids moving from this school to that school and trying to find out, well, was it a legitimate move? Should they be? And, I think there's a lot of recruiting that kind of goes on behind the scenes.
Sure.
It would be tough to ever pinpoint it or to prove anything, but
I think basketball's probably the worst.
Probably.
I would think so.
Probably some in football, maybe some baseball, but at the same time, if you're a kid who can play a little bit and you're stuck in a program or at a school that just doesn't care for or doesn't put a lot into whatever, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, and you have a chance to better yourself at a different school, it's kind of difficult to tell that person don't do that.
Right.
So it's a fine line, but I mean, what do you do? It's one of those things that's gone on since the early 1900s. Since they started having high school sports, there have been some shenanigans going on, and I'm sure those will continue forever.
No doubt about it. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. We had senior night out at the Cab with volleyball. Carly Peak and Taylor Whalen.
Yeah.
And congratulations to those ladies. They just made Christian County. It was 3 and done. I mean, they jumped on them pretty well, and I think they were fired up. I know the seniors were fired up on senior night, and boy, Carly Peak just. I wouldn't want to stand and dig out one of those. She kept slamming at me.
Well, and they're fun to watch.
They are.
I mean, I say that every week on here that people need to check out a volleyball game if at all possible.
Oh, it's fun, man.
That was their last game, but it was even noted after the game that, hey, there were some new faces in the crowd, and that's great.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get more. And the thing about those volleyball crowds is they're really boisterous.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like WWE in there sometimes.
But you get all those people yelling. It'd be nice to have just a packed house one time to see what that would sound like.
Yeah.
And,
put a decibel meter on it.
It's great that I think their crowds are getting bigger and bigger. But we talk about this time of year, the sports just kind of split everything up. There's so much going on, and not everybody can go to a game every night of the week, and we understand that. But the volleyball team now 19-8.
Yeah.
One win away from their 12th straight 20-win season, which is pretty remarkable. They play at Crittenden County tonight.
Right.
They're playing the tournament over at Hopkinsville
This
Friday
weekend.
and Saturday. Yeah. And then the district tournament is next week. Caldwell County is the number 1 seed in a 3-team district, so that means they are in the championship game already. That's next Thursday at Hopkins County Central. And Central and Madisonville play Tuesday, with the winner playing Caldwell County in the championship. So Caldwell County, the good thing is they're already in the regional tournament, so that pressure's off.
And that's in Cadiz.
Yes, it is at Trigg County, and that was one of the reasons I think they wanted to make sure they played over at Trigg County this year, is to get a little experience in that gym ahead of that.
Right. And I talked to Coach Courtner about that, and he said, that's a different place to play down there, and it's kind of a pit.
And you're in a hole, yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted them to experience that, and that's I think that's a good move. It won't be. It won't be something that's foreign to them when they get over there.
Hey, I scored 2 points
in
that Trigg County gym in middle school, so, hey, some strange things can happen over there.
Hey, man, that's awesome.
But volleyball is one of the top teams in the region.
Yes.
I think you'd probably still put Henderson at number 1. Caldwell County has consistently been in that number 2 spot all year, so you kind of hope the draw turns out where those two can meet in the finals. And
I saw the draw.
Oh, yeah,
for the
state
regional winners. Yeah, that's pretty tough. Assumption, is that right?
Yeah, they drew the 7th region, which is number 1 ranked Louisville Assumption, which is ranked really high, I think.
Coach Kortner told me they had 14, I think. Division I players.
And Caldwell County has about
14 players overall.
So, they're just crazy
that's a
good.
David and Goliath type deal.
And it's almost to the point that the kids on that team, they play on those select teams that are so good that the high school team is almost secondary to them in some respects. You know,
Right.
to them, the number one thing is that select team because it's so good that the high school thing is what they do in their spare time, you know, during the high school season.
Wow.
But they're ranked really high in the national top 25. But at the same time, go play, see what happens. If you can get there, that's the big thing. Just making state when you're a smaller school is a tremendous accomplishment.
Our ladies are playing good right now. I like the way they're playing. I like their spunk. They're fired up. You know, they got great senior. You know, there's 2 senior leadership, and there's some underclassmen there that are stepping up big too. So fun to watch.
And they have that winning tradition. We've talked about
They do.
football. When you start winning, you know, you kind of expect to win, and you don't want to accept, you know, anything less. And that's what everybody wants their program to get to, where you can not only have an occasional good year, but sustain that. And again, when you look at pretty much their 12th straight 20-win season, because I feel like they're going to pick up a win somewhere over the next day or two, that's what everybody looks to. And I think you can make a case that over the last 10 or 15 years, Caldwell County has been the number 1 program in the region. Henderson County has come on late and has won, I think, the last 2 regional championships. And, you know, that Christian County team that Caldwell beat here on Tuesday had been playing really well. Their record maybe isn't as good as some of the other teams, but they had won 6 of their last 7 matches, and the one loss there was a 3-1 decision to Henderson County.
Right.
So that team had been playing really well, and Caldwell County just basically took them out of that match.
Boy, they did. Each and every, they just totally, they would get on them, and Christian would make a little bit of a run back, but as soon as they would, man, we'd put the hammer down, and it was lights out.
I think Christian County ran off 4 straight points one
so,
time,
yep.
and Caldwell County called timeout and got settled down, and that was the biggest run of the night for Christian County.
It was, and I heard Sue Stone was doing our game live. She said we call that. Caldwell came back and got the next point, so we call that a coach's point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, after that timeout, because Daniel kind of said, hey, ladies, you know, it's okay here. They're on a little bit of a run, but just bear down. And got a kick out of Sue calling that. And I do want to thank Sue and Johnny Stone for doing our broadcast the other night. Appreciate them stepping in and doing that. She has a passion for it. Johnny's a coach, former coach as well, and so appreciate them doing our broadcast.
Yeah, a lot of people are wanting that kind of thing because I did a little Facebook Live earlier this year on a volleyball game or two just to show the last few points of, a couple of sets against a bigger opponent, and had a lot of views on that just without publicizing it, without saying anything about it, just doing it. So a lot of people are really looking to keep up with a lot of teams. Like we say, everybody can't get to every game every night, but
with social media, you can kind of balance it out. I know I repost a lot of your stuff on our website, and I have been just because of the relationship that we've got going here. Because you usually have people that are doing that.
Well, and if you can't make it to the game, just seeing a couple of pictures or seeing 15 seconds of video can kind of give you a feeling of how the game looked, what the scene was, how the game went, just to help you understand a little bit better. That's why we like to run pictures in the paper and big pictures, because that just kind of gives you a sense of and maybe helps somebody in their own mind, helps people to picture the game, a little bit better too.
No doubt. Boy, I tell you what, Bud, we're toward the wrap-up time. You always have a great list there, and I know we never touch on all of it because there's just so much stuff to talk about. But as we wrap up here, what are some things we need to kind of finalize and summarize as we move forward?
Well, just, again, a big night tonight, soccer, big plans going on for football Friday night out at Tiger Stadium, and just hope people can get out there and see all the good things going on, and hopefully everything turns out, the way Caldwell County fans would like. But just looking ahead to the playoff picture for football, which is something that, I'd hoped we'd get to talk about a little bit more, but we got so interested in everything else that the time flew by. The playoff picture tonight, a big game, or Friday night, Union County at Paducah Tillman. That's going to determine probably the number 2 and number 3 seeds from the first district. Caldwell County has that number 1 seed sewn up. Trigg County is probably going to be the 4 thanks to their win over Fort Campbell. Also this week, over in the other district, the second district, LaRue County and E-Town are both undefeated in district play over there. LaRue is 7-0 overall, 2-0 in the district. E-Town is 6-1 overall, 3-0 in the district. Those two teams play this week at Elizabethtown.
That's huge.
That's going to be big. The winner's probably going to win that district. The other team is going to be the number 2 seed. And Elizabethtown has been ranked pretty high all season. They're in that top 3-4 teams in Class 3A. LaRue County kind of came out of nowhere. Josh Jaggers, the head coach up there. So, they're having a great season. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how LaRue County matches up with Elizabethtown. But just looking ahead to the playoffs, right now it looks to me like Adair County is probably going to come here that first round. Adair and Hart are the 4 and 5 teams over in the other district, and I think they play next week. Whoever wins that game is probably going to be the number 4 seed and will end up coming here in the first round. I'm looking at Union probably going to LaRue County in that first round of the playoffs. I think Union will be the 3. I think Tillman will beat them. I think LaRue will be the 2 in the other district. I think E-Town wins that game. So that leaves you on the other side of the bracket, Edmondson at Tillman and Trigg at E-Town. So if you're a Caldwell fan right now, it looks like probably Adair County coming here that first round of the playoffs. And if you get by that one, and Caldwell would be pretty heavily favored that first round, then you're looking at the Union County, LaRue County winner coming here that second round. And that could be a big game either way.
Sure.
Union County looking for a little revenge after what the Tigers did up there in that game. And LaRue County coming here with all the local connections could be a big thing too.
Yeah, it's a big, huge push now toward the playoffs, and we sealed it up, last week at Trigg County, and it's just going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But Tigers have to stay focused. They have to keep doing what they've been doing, and under the table here, we've got a special thing going on. That's just don't really want to mention it, but there's a special season taking shape here, and we just need to maintain our focus each and every week and do what we're capable of, and I'm sure it'll turn out good.
And it's so big having all those games coming up at home.
It is.
Just finishing the regular season with Fort Campbell here, then in 2 weeks Mayfield here, and then you start the playoffs here. You go back to last season and that Elizabethtown game, and I think it was such a big advantage for E-Town to get to play that regional championship game up there. Caldwell County still had its chances, but playing on your home turf is such a big deal. And if Caldwell County can get to that point again against E-Town or whoever comes out all that, the Tigers have that knowledge that, hey, it's going to be here. Somebody has to travel to us this time, and that's just a big deal in the playoffs.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it, Todd. Well, we encourage everybody to go out tonight and support our Lady Tiger soccer team and our Tiger soccer teams over in where are they playing?
Morton's Gap.
Morton's Gap. Yeah, we want you to get over there. Make that trip. Support our these championships. If you can't, we'll have it here for you here on WPKY. And, of course, the volleyball's traveling tonight. And then tomorrow night, here at home, it's our Hall of Fame game. Come on out, support our Tiger football team and these past greats that are being inducted at halftime in the Caldwell County Football Hall of Fame. And there's a refreshment tent over on the Fieldhouse side that you can meet some of those guys at 6 o'clock. They'll be over there before the game taking that in. So we encourage everybody to go out and just get into it and have a fantastic night out at Tiger Stadium. The weather's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, looking forward to the next 2 nights.
Yes.
2 big soccer games tonight, and hope both of those are competitive, and maybe Caldwell County can pull off the doubleheader sweep tonight, and then get that win over Fort Campbell tomorrow night. An 8th straight win, I think. What is it? 6 straight seasons now that. Trying to do the math in my head real quick. 5, I can't remember exactly. It's in the paper. Read the Times Leader this week.
Definitely read the Times Leader.
But Caldwell with quite the string going, and not just 8 wins, but a lot of those wins, or a lot of those seasons have been 10, 11, 12 wins. So like we've talked before, it's a pretty good run the Tigers are on right now in football too.
And Coach going for 100.
Coach going for 100. We could see a big career tackle record Friday night, and hopefully a lot of fun with a big win over Fort Campbell, too.
All right. A lot of stuff on the line, folks. Get out and enjoy it. It's your Caldwell County Tiger soccer and football teams and volleyball team in action as well. So get out and enjoy and support these kids here in Caldwell County and when they're on the road. It's 10:04. Thank you for joining us for the Sideline Report. We'll be back next Thursday as well, same time. And we want you to tune in. We might even have a little special intro next week.
That'd be great.
We've been working on it. But tune in for the Sideline Report with Todd Griffin each and every Thursday, brought to you by the Times Leader here on WPKY, the Tiger. Thanks for joining us today. Tyga Bright and Todd Griffin saying so long for now. We'll see you next week.
October's a time for planning those home projects you've been putting off all summer. Fredonia Valley Bank has the right kind of loan to suit your needs. Whether it's a new roof, gutters, painting, or remodeling, Fredonia Valley Bank can assist and step you through the loan process with ease. You can count on Fredonia Valley Bank's experienced loan officers when applying for a home, vehicle, commercial,